Del Rosso here, co-founder of PeakBot. Obviously, David, before I dive in and anything else, let me know if there's anything else you need. I don't want to interrupt the flow here. Yeah, Dillon Del Rosso, co-founder of PeakBot. You can find us at peakbot.com. That's peakbot.com. I'll show you all the information here tonight over the next 45 to 60 minutes. I am For a little bit of background, we co-founded this business a little over 5 years ago. Myself and my co-founder, Ben, launched this business in the height of COVID, as a lot of new businesses began. And we built the business because we were retail traders struggling to find the edge ourselves with a lack of time, lack of knowledge, and lack of discipline. So the route that we went down was by trying to take well-known, time-tested trading strategies and automating them for the everyday retail trader. It had mentioned Todd Horowitz from Bubba Trading. Bubba Trading is now a partner company of ours with PeakBot. We've been working with them for years behind the scenes, and we're finally combining forces to work together to provide the retail trader with as many trusted automated trading tools and strategies as humanly possible. Our whole angle is making it super easy. We want the user experience to be simple. We know that trading with algorithms and automation can sometimes put up walls and fences for people. We're hopefully going to break those down here tonight. So if there are any questions at all, feel free to hammer me in the chat, however this would normally go. But also know that on our website, peakbot.com, we have our customer support reps ready to answer any questions that I cannot get to here tonight. Feel free to message us, and we'll make sure that you get somebody taking care of any questions you have. David, I just want to confirm, you guys can see my screen here with peakbot.com up?
Yes, looks good. Yeah.
All right, excellent. So again, just a little bit of background. When we started this business 5 years ago, we actually got into the world of equities trading. That's where we were first, stock, right? Some momentum-based strategies, some overnight gap strategies, etc. And it was fun in COVID when we were throwing darts at stocks, trying, and anybody was making money, right? But when we had the correction, when we had the pullback, our strategies were no longer any good. They have a shelf life. All automated strategies tend to have a shelf life where the market conditions are really good for it to perform. And PeakBot really prides ourselves on our ability to update our strategies as we move. Any algorithm provider that you work with, if any of you have traded with bots before, of course, Bubba, Todd over at Bubba Trading, they have their automated trading software as well, which is why we're working more and more together. But anyway, we started in equities. That was fun. Market turns on us. We needed something else. Believe it or not, Todd Horowitz was actually the first guy to come to us 3-4 years ago and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Quit messing around and let's start selling options. And he actually introduced us to the wheel strategy, which we had known about, but never really traded on the selling side, at least from an automation standpoint. And he introduced us to a fantastic wheel strategy. In fact, it's a vertical wheel strategy. There's a ton of information available here, and I'll go through it tonight. It's one of our legacy bots. It was our first automated options trading strategy, and that's our bread and butter. We are option sellers. Those are the strategies and the indicators in which I'll be going over tonight. We're all on the selling side of options. We love collecting premium. We're anywhere from 0 DTE to 7 DTE with our current strategies. Also know that PeakBot, we have 7 of our own bots currently available to any subscriber. I will have a promo code here to hand out at the end of the night for a discount off of annual subscriptions. We bundle everything, right? The golden rule to trading and investing is let's get diversified. So I'm going to go over our strategies here in just a minute, but I think it would be helpful to show just how simple it is to utilize PeakBot. The idea here is we're connected with different brokers via a commercial API. All right. So we're commercial developers with Charles Schwab. Okay. Of course, Think or Swim, Tasty Trade, and Tradier. We will be integrated with Public within the next 2 to 3 months here, and we'll also be integrated with E-Trade within the year. So that's how we do this. We're not cutting corners. We work hand in hand with the brokers. Your first thing you're doing when you log into your PeakBot account is connecting your broker. Again, I promise I'm going to get into these strategies. I know that's why you want to be here, but I want to just get in the fact that it is incredibly simple to utilize our automation. You connect your broker, log in with your credentials, agree to a terms and conditions that allows PeakBot as a software to place the trades for you, send it to your broker, and have them execute the trade fully hands-free. That's what we like to call this hands-free trading. So this user experience and all the bots that you have access to is incredibly simple. Okay, pick your bot that you'd like to automate. Let's say we'll go with the King Condor strategy, which we'll talk about tonight. Now it's an SPX only strategy. That's going to be all that's available there to you. You select the number of spreads that you'd like to trade. It gives you your preset budget, and you hit activate. This is a terms and conditions, okay? Disclaimer and waiver of liability. We're very open about it. This is algo trading, so you're agreeing to that every time that you add a stock. And it's that simple. Your SPX 1DTE Iron Condor strategy, which we're going to talk about, is now active, and I don't have to do anything else. This is actually integrated with my TradeAir account right now. I'm going to deactivate that because I don't actually want it to trade in this account. But I just wanted to show it is that simple to trade with any and all of PeakBot strategies. There's a few that have a watch list, okay, with a scanner and indicators that we're looking for. But our newer strategies, our next generation strategies, are actually all what we like to call set it and forget it, okay? Obviously, you want to know what's going on, and that's why we're here. But the strategies, you don't have to pick the stock. You don't have to determine when or when not to trade them. That's what's so great about these three strategies here, which we're going to go over. So let's start with BenBot. It's our simplest strategy, and it's our best strategy, okay? This is a strategy that returns 46.3% annualized return. This is not back tested. Okay, these are live trades that you can see here, which I'll show in just a second. The beautiful thing about the way in which we automate with these new strategies is, I shouldn't say they're new, they've been around, but newer. Everybody's making the same trade. If you're winning, we're winning. If you're losing, we're losing. So it becomes very transparent as to what's happening. There's no guessing game. There's no secrets. There's no who made this, who made this. We're all on the same team. All right. And so we'll show you that we track each result here, okay, throughout the month. Every single day, okay, we can see this bot actually took a $33 loss today, but we'll go through all that. But everything is printed out here for you month by month with transparent results, wins and losses, and everything in between. But let's talk about how simple this is. This is a daily covered call strategy on IWM. Okay, so that's why we're needing about $25,000 in cash here. Beginning of every day, if the criteria is met, which I'll go over in a second, it's going to, on the third tick, or I shouldn't say the third tick, 3 minutes into the market open, okay, and I'll pull this up and we'll see what this looks like on the chart. We are going to enter into a trade. We're going to buy 100 shares of IWM. So sorry for all this scrolling. I should have been more prepared. So this is Tuesday, the 22nd, just as an example. It's what I had marked out here. So I'm on TradingView on IWM. This is the open of the market on Tuesday, okay, 9:30 a.m. At the close of this 9:32 bar, all right as 9:33 happens, in that second transition, we are submitting our order. So in this scenario, we bought 100 shares at $222.04. I'm seeing that up here when I hover over this bar. Okay, so 222.04. We're then with that same order selling a call, all right, just out of the money, the next dollar up, regardless if you're at 222.04 or 222.96, whatever, anything in between. We're going to grab the next dollar up, which in this scenario is $223, okay? Again, this can seem elementary to people, but it gets hard to do when you got to do it every day and we are busy with our lives, okay? So It'll enter here. All right. On average, we're collecting about $116 in premium when doing this. Okay. When buying the shares and selling the call against it right at the money, essentially. All right. So now the rest of the day, we want to try and stay above. Sorry, we're getting off the chart here. We want to try and stay above our 223 price. And as we can see here, this is the end of the day on the 23rd. All right. We do so. All right. So that's a win on the day. No manual adjustments needed. When I say manual adjustments, I'll cover that in just a second. But that's a win right there. Okay. And that happens 71.3% of the time. And on average, we're earning about $116 when we win. What you can see on screen here is the bot. Okay. Ben Bot Return. It's not a very clever name. We're actually going to change the name, but Ben, my co-founder, was the one who created this strategy and also makes the adjustments, which I'll explain. But you can see the bots returns here, and this does cut off at 6:30. We update this on a quarterly basis, even though it's really more often. But you can see IWM's performance in this time as related to the bot. Okay, so the most beautiful thing about this strategy is its drawdown. Okay, we're talking 2.8% on our 25K. The worst case scenario is we lose what the market lost that day. Okay, and I'm generalizing. We're trading IWM, but generally speaking, we lose what the market loses that day minus the premium collected. Okay, so there's a few other things. Entry criteria. Okay, it trades 20 out of 21 trading days in a month, so almost every day. But about once a month, IWM will gap up, okay, more than 2% overnight. And when that happens, we are not going to place the trade that day. All right. Already enough movement has happened. We don't want to try and bet on even more, okay, or some stability when there doesn't seem to be some. So it won't trade for you. Not a decision that you have to make, okay, if IWM gaps up too much overnight. Additionally, let's say IWM starts working against us. We took a loss today. Let's look at today's trade. We lost $33. So if we come to today, all right, so let's find the open here, right here at, let's call it here. All right, and I'm going to just zoom in with my minute bars in here. And so we can actually look at where we entered, all right on the end of the second tick here. So we closed at 225.46, which means we're rounding up to 226. And now that's the price that we want to stay above for the rest of the day. Okay, because we have our shares and the call at the same time. As we can see here, as we get to the end of the day, that doesn't end up happening. All right. We never even got to 226 on the day. However, we're left with only a $33 loss because throughout the day, when the price is moving against us, the bot will actually roll the calls down. Okay. Meaning if we wanted to stay above 226 and it's not happening, okay, let's sell a call at 225, all expiring today, by the way. This is all 0 DTE. I should have got that out of the way. All right. So everything is settled by the end of the day. All right. So you do need that 25K in your account. We're buying the shares, selling the calls against it. If it's going our direction, fantastic. That happens about 71% of the time. If it doesn't, we'll continue to collect premium on the way down. All right, let's try to stay above 225, collect another 45 cents in premium, lessens the blow on the loss. Okay. All right, still not going our direction. Let's go grab the 224, the 223, as many adjustments as are needed. Okay. And there's a math and a science to the whole thing. But all that to say is, if IWM's price is moving against us, we will roll the call down throughout the day. Now, this is man and machine, all right? We're using an algorithm to get us in the strategy. And then if a manual adjustment is needed, all right, an alert is sent to our team, and our team will actually take the trade, and it is actually copied into your accounts, okay? Fully automated with about a 3 to 4 second delay, all right? But everything is settled by the end of the day. You will not end up with 100 shares of IWM or anything left over. All right. So again, this bot on average is taking home about a 3.5% monthly return. In March, it made 4.1, April 3.3. May was fantastic on almost a 6% monthly return. June was the first month where IWM's underlying gain actually beat the bot, all right, but still came out with almost 1.6. And July's been tricky. I think if Bubba, Todd Horowitz, was on here right now, he'd be telling us this is a very, very tricky market to be trading in. And it's simple to look at the market and just say, oh, it's just going up. What's so hard? It's the fluctuation in the behavior and some of these news events that are sparking just very, very quick movement. And where we're trading bots, we need to be a bit defensive, okay? We're here to protect capital. Of course, take advantage of wins when they come, but we're here to play defense. We have built-in stop losses, and we're doing credit spreads with every trade. Well, obviously, this is a covered call situation, but risk-defined trades, all right? So that is BenBot. Just to kind of look at a little bit more information on the strategy. Again, this is the information. All right. We need 25K up front to be trading this strategy, selling the call right at the money. All right. Enters 9:33 in the morning if the criteria is met. All right. So these are the adjustments I'm talking about. If our call increases above an 80% gain, then we want to start making adjustments and lessening the blow, collecting more premium, lowering the strike prices, okay? And then we have a closing order at the end of the day, 5 cents below our strike, just to assure that we're not going to end up with any shares, all right? But again, we can see the average win, the average loss. It trades pretty much every day. And again, the best part is this is the max drawdown here. We're just trading the market here. Millions of people do this manually. All right. And that's not a surprise to anybody, but having it automated, knowing when not to trade, which avoids the one big blow up, and making those adjustments midday while you're at work. All right. 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern, when you're busy, that is what you're paying for here. Okay. So fantastic strategy with BenBot. If there's any questions on it, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat, but a very straightforward strategy and the core of a lot of our automated traders model portfolios. Okay, if somebody's coming in trading 50K, there are traders who do nothing but two of these. Okay, people coming in with 100K, they're putting 50K or 75,000 in a different units for BenBot, a few, and then going and having fun with our other strategies. Consider BenBot an investment strategy. Okay, and it's going to be called Alpha Call. We're changing the name because BenBot feels silly now. But anyway, BenBot, Alpha Call, this is a trader-specific bot. It will be on public here in the next month or two. Why? The copy trading aspect of it. Okay, Schwab and Tasty Trade aren't going to mess around with any copy trading. Tradier and public do. Okay, so if you're interested in BenBot, which truthfully is our best bot and the one that you should build your portfolio around due to the consistent gains and limited losses, got to be on Tradier or soon to be public. Okay, so that's BenBot. All the information's here, and we really pride ourselves on being transparent with our results, which I'll get to because our favorite. I shouldn't say our favorite. BenBot's our favorite because it's the best, but my sneaky favorite bot's the King Condor because of the results it can put up, both in back tests and live trading. But it's having a rough July. And we're transparent about it. And that's why the golden rule is to diversify. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about Shorbo. And by the way, if anybody's like, I hate the names, I love the names, I want to know. But anyway, there is reason behind it. So Shorbo is actually an orb strategy, opening range breakout. I would imagine that maybe that comes up at some point in this session from Tuesday to Thursday. If not, well, then I'm happy to be the one talking about it. This is another option selling strategy. This is SPX specific. Okay. So you're not determining what different stocks to trade this on. This is on SPX. All right. So we can see a 57.5% average back tested annual return. Okay, this is back tested back to May 16th of 2022. Some people might think, well, that's a weird date. Why not anything before that? This is when zero DTE SPX contracts were actually made available, all right, from a data standpoint, and probably pretty close on the trading too. So that's why we went back as far as we can. So we have over 3 years of back-tested trading data on Shorbo, and you can see the results are something that truthfully we aren't even like keen on sharing because the number's too good. All right, but here's the individual trade log dating all the way back. This bot actually launched a month ago to the public. We were beta testing for a few months prior to that. But we can see here, had a nice win today. We're going to look at this on the charts today. Gave us a little bit of a scare at the end in the last few minutes on that dropout, but we'll take a look. So on the $10,000 preset budget that we're putting toward this strategy for one contract, call it, it's really a spread, okay? But for one trade, we're mentally budgeting $10,000 for this. It's only a $5 spread on SPX, okay? $500 is actually being utilized to place this trade. However, that does not mean we want people coming in here with $2,000, just enough to trade a spread, and thinking that, look at the returns. Let me go. You're not giving yourself enough runway, and your drawdowns are going to be brutal on a 2K account. Okay. So that's why we say mentally budget $10,000 to trading one unit of Shorbo, knowing that 95% of your cash is not being utilized. It's sitting idle. Okay. That's mental. And it's not actually taking the cash and moving anything. All right. But that's just to help us retail traders weigh our portfolio. This is a trading strategy. BenBot, the wheel, which I'll show a little bit later, those are investment strategies. This is a trading strategy. We're trying to take advantage of the direction of the market based on the opening range. Let's take a closer look. And by the way, June lost 3.6%. May lost 3.6%. But when the market, obviously April was a little weird, but generally speaking, when the market's behaving, the bot just has absolutely monster months. Okay. This is on $500 traded. All right. So if I put the real ROI percentage on here, people would be going nuts. We don't want to do that. But yeah, on that 10K that we're budgeting, that's almost a 20% return just in March alone. Okay. But we can see, you guys can go all the way back. There will be red months, but very good strategy. Let's look at the details. All right. So Shorbo, again, currently still in beta. We call it beta for a month and after launch, just to make sure we've got all the little bugs out and everything like that. So here's the back test period, okay, from May 16th of 2022 till the end of June of this year. All right. As you can see, the bots return versus the S&Ps return in that time. Here's the beginning of this year. Okay, this line here. So what we can see, and this will obviously get updated there, truly not the best depiction. Okay, so a couple things to know about this strategy. 70.1% win rate, okay? The average win is $150. This is another zero DTE strategy, okay? All settled. Obviously, SPX is cash settled, so everything's done by the end of the day. We're a winner, we're a loser. 148 on the winners, 262 is the average loser. We have quite a bit of a higher drawdown here than we did on the BenBot. As I said, this is a trading strategy, not an investing strategy. Trades about, I don't know what that percentage is, but 16 out of 21 trading days, call it, a month. All right. So what's the strategy? It is a directional spread with a potential hedge built in. Okay. A reversal. It's a $5 spread, and we're grabbing $10 out of the money in one direction or the other based upon what trend we're betting on. All right. So here's what this looks like. Let's look at it today. We got a lot of lines in here. All right. So let's get rid of this for now. All right. So today, and we're going to make this a little bit fatter. So here's the beginning of the day today. We're in 15-minute bars. That's what we're looking for when we're looking at Shorbo. All right. 15-minute bars on SPX. So what we're doing is, for anybody who's familiar with Orb, what we're doing is we're taking the full candle here, all right, including the wicks, and that is going to define our orb. So let me just get this going here. I don't know why that's giving me a hard time. Oh, you know what? Maybe they're hidden. Give me 1 second here. Apologies. Might have to just refresh my screen. All right, let's give this a try. Apologies. Play the music. We'll get it back. All right, now we're all messy. Nothing's easy, right, people? All right, I want 15-minute bars. I want all this out of here. Okay, thanks for dealing with me. All right, so here's our 15-minute first opening range. Let's try this again. All right, cool. We're going to get rid of this sold put for right now. We're just going to get this out of the way, and we'll talk about that in a second. So bottom of that candle, top of this one. This is not exactly perfect, but it's damn close. So here's our opening range, okay, within this orange line, top of the candle to the bottom, all right? So what the strategy does is we're looking to enter a trade between 10 o'clock Eastern and noon, okay? So what we're doing is based on the opening range, if we see a candle close outside of that range, then we are going to bet on the direction for the rest of the day. All right. So what do we do here? We looks like I'm assuming we entered, and I actually have the trade up in my Tradier account. Heyo. All right. For those of you who aren't familiar with Tradier, if you're options traders and you're trading 0 DTE, 1 DTE stuff, awesome commissions fees. So here's our actual trade from today. This was automated by the bot at 10 a.m. So right at 10, we entered and we sold a put credit spread $5 wide, and we sold the 360 put. All right. So how did we get there? Well, we broke orb here, all right, at 10 a.m. You can see we were north when the bar opened, so we enter a bullish credit spread, bullish put credit spread. And now at that point, what we're doing is we're taking the close of this bar, all right, and we're rounding down to the nearest $5 and grabbing the strike $10 from that, all right? So $10 out of the money puts us at 360, and that's the number that we want to try and stay above for the rest of the day. Apologies, people. So that is, we'll just basically call it this line here. All right. So now we've entered our trade because we broke north of orb, although just barely, we did. All right. And that means we want to bet on that direction for the rest of the day. So now this orange line here, let's just make it a different color. All right. I technically erased the bottom of the orb line, but now we're just trying to stay above 360 for the rest of the day. We earned about 150 on average. Today we collected $115 in premium, all right, for that $5 spread. And as we can see here, the day was interesting. We were kind of doing our thing all day. We were well above, looking good, looking good. Oh no, end of the day, had a little bit of a scare here, as we can see, but we still finished over $3 out of the money, and we took home our full W. All right, so $115 win on that there today. Okay, so a couple other things about the strategy is if we were to have a reversal, okay, between 10 a.m. when we entered the trade, and it doesn't always enter at 10. We're waiting to break orb. All right, so let's say it were to break south of our orb here. All right, and maybe I can go back to another day and see what we were looking at here. So this one's probably a funny example. All right, so let's look at this one then. So this is on the 22nd. Here's our first 15-minute bar, this green bar here. So what we've seen is this is our opening range. And on the second bar, right at 10 o'clock when this closes, we are well south of our orb, which means we are going to be bearish on this. We are going to sell a call. Okay, so we're taking this number. It closed at 288.27. I want to round to the nearest $5. Okay, so right here, I am going up to 290 and then grabbing the strike that's $10 away from that. So in this scenario, we're now looking at 6,300. All right. Because again, rounding to the nearest $5, then grabbing $10 out of the money. So we're talking 290, which means our strike, okay, is going to be technically, we'll make this blue, okay, 6,300. Okay. So now what we're wanting to do is stay below. We're bearish on this. We're wanting to stay below this line for the rest of the day, under 6,300. As we can see here, not going okay. All right. Getting pretty close. Some consolidation, a little bit of a pullback. And then all of a sudden, right around 115, things stop going our direction. All right. And ultimately, we're going to end up taking a loss on that day. So that was on the 22nd. And if we look here on the 22nd, okay, it didn't trade that day. These are some other things I should talk about with the strategy. If the criteria is not met, it will not trade. So great example. I didn't even realize I was doing that. The trade lost this day. It did not stay under our sold call. Okay. We would have lost the trade. However, it did not trade because it has entry criteria it's looking for. If we look at Shorbo here, all right, it can trade any day. But if there are certain economic events that are happening, okay, FOMC, all right, there are other things, 30-year bond auction, CPI data, Trump speeches, if there's something scheduled, these tariff news has really been screwing some strategies for sure, at least in the short term. But if VIX, okay, decreases too much overnight, we're not going to take the call side of any entry. All right, so we're playing defense here. If there's an economic event or if the volatility index is doing something that we don't want the bot to do, okay, and by the way, as a subscriber, we provide you the exact details as to what the bot is looking for, then it will not trade. Okay, so that was a good example of the bot not entering a trade that day in which it would have lost. Call it luck, call it skill, call it strategy, whatever you want to call it. The bot sat out and avoided a loss, okay, because it did not meet criteria. So again, that's our orb strategy. But there's also another layer of risk management built in. Between 10 and 12 o'clock, so call 12 o'clock right here, if we entered our trade on this big red bar and we're bearish, this did not happen here in this scenario, and I don't want to fumble around looking for a scenario in which it did happen. I don't remember the last time we entered a reversal. But all that to say is, if we are bearish, in which we were by entering the trade right here, all right, if all of a sudden the market was to reverse and pull back up here, okay, and we were to have a 15-minute bar close above orb before noon, so something closed up here before this purple line, then we would enter a reversal, okay, the opposite trade. If we were in a call spread, all right, $5, we're now entering a $5 sold put, all right, or a $5 put spread. Now, we're going to lose the trade that day. But what happens is we enter the reversal to lessen the blow, all right? We know one side's going to get destroyed, our initial trade's going to lose, but we can enter the reversal to soften the blow if that were to happen, okay? So when we see the losses here, okay, so this was a tough one on the 16th, 305, 212. If we go back and look here, all right, June, very tricky month for Shorbo. All right, this happens again, but, and here's May. Sorry, I didn't mean to click over that. But again, it has these absolutely monster months when it just ties it all together. But the losses are limited because we're at least trying to collect some premium by reversing the trade. I'm not saying it enters a reversal every time, okay? But you can see what this bot's capable of doing. And this is really the key. The bot is not going to trade when the criteria is not met. I'm annoying myself saying it that much. But that's why you're investing in this automation, okay? To not have to pick a stock off of a watch list, to not have to think about when to trade it or when not to not have to think about, should I enter a reversal? Should I roll my calls down? Should I take profit? Should I have a stop loss or a trailing stop in place? All settled and handled for you. Okay. You, as the end trader, can manually intervene at any time. Okay. And the bot will just pick up where you left off. All right. No tricks or anything there. So if you wanted to get in and take your profit on a trade before the day ends, go for it. That's totally fine. But the bot's going to do what it's programmed to do. And that you don't have a say over. Okay. That is Shorebo. Again, very good strategy. Should be utilized for a small percentage of your model portfolio. Okay. We put 10K there for a reason. It is not fun to do that strategy or others. If you only got $2,000 in there and then you run into 2 or 3 straight losses, you've lost a lot of your capital. Okay. But we're talking maybe 10, 15, 20% of a model portfolio, not financial advice, but that's how I trade it. Okay. Again, I'm relying on BenBot to be doing the major lifting. And then this is where I go and have some fun. All right. So that's Shorebo. We've covered BenBot. We've covered Shorebo. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay. But let's talk about King Condor. I know you guys are looking at this number and being like, well, let's talk about it then. Okay, so here's King Condor. Very similarly, we put a $10,000 preset budget here to help weigh out our portfolio. All right, and that's also, might I add, the amount that we back tested with. Starting capital was $10,000. Okay, so in certain scenarios, in certain markets, if you have less than that, you might not have enough to get off the ground and even continue to trade the strategy. Okay, if you run into a quick drawdown, 2 or 3 losses in a row, whatever it might be. However, we'll go through this again here. So this is a strategy, the bot's return versus the S&P's return here in that time. All right. Again, we're going to update these illustrations. They're not our best. 56% win rate. Get used to losing on this strategy, but that's intentional. Okay. We used to chase the high win rate, really low premium, high odds of winning our trade strategy. But when a strategy can't lose more than 3 times in a month in a Trump market, good luck. You know what I mean? If you're betting on a strategy that's going to win 90, 95% of the time, that's hard to, in my humble opinion, hard to trade right now in these markets because it's just unpredictable. All right. So we can see here, this is a strategy. It's a 1 DTE SPX Iron Condor strategy. Okay. $10 wide. All right. So we're using $1,000 to actually get into the trade. All right. So again, only 10% of this preset budget that we're putting up as a buffer, if you will. Okay. But $306 average win. All right. Average loss, 219. This is also back tested data from the same date, okay, as to when we started. However, this has been traded live by our team and PeakBot subscribers since the end of March, I think the 28th, 26th. So all of that's highlighted in the results, which I'll show in just a second, okay? But the bot doesn't need to win every trade if it's winning $100 more than what the average loss is, okay? We can see here, max drawdown, 13.2%. We're in it right now, and we'll see it. That it's our worst drawdown from a back test and or live trading. We're seeing it right now. It takes 10 trades a month, all right? So that means it's trading just about every other day. If it's not trading, it's because the criteria has not been met. Again, a volatility index thing. If the levels are too high or too low, okay? If VIX is too high, we're not going to trade. This is an Iron Condor strategy. We don't want volatility, spiking through the roof. If VIX is too low, something's also weird and going on, and we don't want to try to figure it out. And if VIX increases too much overnight, okay, X%, okay, then it will not trade, okay? Same thing with major economic events, FOMC, bond auctions, Trump speeches, etc. Not going to trade. Okay. The strategy does have built-in exit features. Okay. So there are stop losses built in. to both the call side and the put side of this iron condor, and they're managed separately. Okay. The put side has a $4 stop loss. The call side has a $3, 350, because the market tends to drift up as opposed to down. So we're going to give the put side a little bit more of a leash. All right. But we'll go and map this out here in just a second. But I do want to show you, because we're transparent about it, the results for this strategy. So this is the mass results back to May of 2022. Anything highlighted yellow here, okay, has been live traded by us and our audience, our subscribers. Everything else here is back tested. So here's July. We'll work backward. Okay. So we took a small win today, $120, took profit early. But I mean, this is not fun to look at. All right. This is not a good month for the strategy. There are a couple of these events where it was tariff related and we were getting, wicked out. All right. The SPX was moving crazy amounts in just like 7-10 minutes, and our stop losses are going to trigger because we don't know if it's going to get worse or not, and then everything returns back to normal. I forget if that was the 10th or the 16th. I think this was maybe tariffs on Canada and this was on Asia, or whatever it was. But point is, I'm not blaming Trump by any means. It's the nature of the strategy, and it's the nature of us wanting to play defense. But it's not all that bad, okay? In June, volatility was a little wacky. A lot of economic events were preventing it from trading. We went a whole almost 2 weeks without a trade. But that's intentional. If you were to look at the setup of the Condor on these days, it was getting blown out, all right? So this is not a winning strategy if it trades every day. So on that $10,000 budget we're setting aside, this is about a 1.4% return in June. You're like, okay, show me the good stuff. You're talking 85% a year, 7% a month. Yeah, it's averaging 7% a month, both in back tests and in live trades as we zoom out, but it's anything but 7% a month. Okay, it's not linear. All right, you're going to see a 1.4% month. Then in May, okay, when this was just off, we just launched at the end of March here. May was fantastic. All right, $1,300. This is on $1,000 cash used. Realistically, on cash used, that's 133% ROI. All right, but again, it doesn't benefit us from showing results that are that good. People go a little haywire. So we tell you, hey, based on that 10K, you're looking at a 13.3% return in May. April just made a 1.2. March lost almost 2%, but then it has these monster months. When the market's behaving, if you will, monster months, 17%. Now you're going to see a stretch when administrations were changing. November, December, January, not fun. This was previously the worst month of the strategy until this month. All right, was January. But again, you go back and you see when the market's behaving, if you will, just monster months, okay, and missing a lot of blow-up trades. Let's look at what the strategy is actually doing. I do have just a slide on this. I think it's easier to see here. So let's just pull this up. Again, it is a 1DTE $10 spread iron condor, on SPX. All right. So all the information here, the VIX levels. So to actually look at it, this is an actual trade, took home a $295 win. This was June 24th to 25th. All right. So we can see here, I think these are 15-minute bars if I had to guess. Yeah. So it enters if the criteria is met at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Okay. If there's no economic events, the volatility was right from the night before, then it will enter its trade expiring the next day, 1 DTE. Okay. So we don't have 2 full days of risk. We got about 45 minutes and the next day. So what we're doing here is we're grabbing the, let me just pull this back up here. Yes, grabbing the 20 delta. I didn't want to misspeak. All right. So we're giving ourselves a good amount of breathing room. All right. So we can see here that now that we've entered our condor at the 20 delta, these are our strikes. All right. So we have our sold put at 60.60, our sold call at 61.30. This is our profit zone. If we stay in between this range, by the end of the day tomorrow, okay, right here, then we win. Okay. This is a great trade. We never even sniffed trouble. A nice, easy, quiet win of $300 in a little over a day. All right. Here's the next day. All right. Criteria was met. We enter at 3:15 on Wednesday, the 25th, get a couple minutes in. Next day, market opens up super high and just drifts up all day. All right. So obviously, we're breaking our profit zone here. The condor is going to get blown out from the call side, but we have a stop loss built in, fully automated, not you having to worry about it. Okay. So on our call side, it's about a $3.50 stop loss. All right. So when we're seeing a loss on that side on the call, we will stop out. Okay. So that resulted in a $190 loss. But if we were to keep that going for the rest of the day, the loss would have only gotten greater. All right. So we took the stop pretty close to the strike, right around noon, and we took a limited loss. All right. 1.9% on the 10K. So that is what's happening here with King Condor. Okay. Additionally, there's a trailing stop that's built into the strategy for the Condor. Both the put side and the call side have a trailing stop. They're managed separately, but if either one of those reaches a 75 cent, okay, or $75 profit, okay, throughout that day, we'll have a trailing stop set then. That way, the $4 stop on the put side now becomes $3.25 because we've already profited 75 cents. We're still active in the trade, but we're going to set up that trailing stop of $4 there. All right. So those are both built in as well. So again, a very, very strong strategy with a shitty July. Pardon my language. So I don't believe we're in trades. All right. So we didn't enter going into tomorrow. I forget off the top of my head if that was from an economic event or if it was volatility reasons. But the idea is bot is not in the trade. We don't have anything expiring tomorrow. So gonna likely end July. We got a little bit of time left. Monday, I guess, technically as well. So again, you might be thinking, why is this guy spending so much time on a bot that loses this much? Because I think it's refreshing and not a lot of people do that. We want to tell you what's going on. All right. We want you to know how to manage out. Okay. You could have taken profit or had a limited loss if you were manually intervening because you wanted to, because you had the opportunity. But again, the bot is here to play defense. As we zoom out, these are fantastic strategies. They are winning strategies, but there will be drawdowns. Okay. So that is King Condor. All right. So if we're building a model portfolio, we're starting to look at BenBot as, holding anywhere from 50 to 75%. Okay. And then we go and take 10K at a time mentally. Okay. Yes, it's less cash, but mentally we're going to go and take 10K at a time and run Shorbo and King Condor as a nice complement, okay, to the IWM covered call strategy in BenBot. All right. So, those are our three next gen strategies, meaning you don't have any decisions to make other than activate. Do you want to trade it and how many? Okay. Right now, BenBot's limited for 1 unit. Shorbo and King Condor are limited to 2 units each. However, you can message us and get a custom subscription if you wanted more. There's a process there, but it's just based on how much cash you have to make sure we're protecting you and you're protecting yourself. Iron Condor Zero is another strategy. It's going to be another zero DTE SPX strategy. An Iron Condor, obviously, similar to our King Condor, but very different at the same time. It's same day instead of 1 day, so no overnight risk there. The back tests are ridiculously good. However, it's been kind of getting beat up a little bit in back testing and paper trading due to kind of this weird behavior we've been seeing over the last few weeks. Start wrapping things up here. These were our original 3 strategies. As I mentioned earlier, the wheel was a strategy that we were introduced to from Todd Horowitz, Bubba. He still trades the wheel, as do we. And it's a little bit different here. I'm going to show you what this watch list looks like, and this is what you get access to as a PeakBot subscriber. is our watch list. I'm not going to spend too much time on trend and spread and iron condor. Transparently, there's only a small percentage of people in our world who are trading these automated right now. They're great strategies, but they require a little bit more of your attention and time. And they also require you to pick stocks off of a watch list. All right. So now you're in play. You are a variable. You deciding when to trade and what to trade is now going to ultimately rely on, or ultimately show you what your results are going to be. All right, but here's what this looks like for anybody who's familiar with the wheel strategy. We do a weekly wheel. All right, the idea is selling cash secured puts on stocks that you don't own but you're comfortable owning and bullish about in the long term. If you get assigned the shares, you buy 100 shares of them and then you sell a call against it to collect more premium. We've started that way. But then the strategy adapted a little bit into a vertical wheel. Okay. So the vertical wheel is essentially a 4 DTE credit spread. Okay. It's a put credit spread if you don't own the shares. It's a combo spread with a sold call and a bought put if you do own the shares of the stock. Okay. So again, Monday to Friday, it's a vertical wheel. So we're selling put spreads instead of that traditional cash secured put covered call. Now, here's where you got to get involved. These are our watch list built into the app, and you have access to it if you're an alert subscriber, even if you're not automating. This updates every 5 minutes during market hours, okay? So this will be outdated for today, but this is the vertical wheel watch list. Again, this has new trade ideas on it based on our scanner, which is built on the same criteria that the bot is looking for. And you're going to see anywhere from, I don't know, there's looks to be about 100, 150 opportunities on this list right now. I could be wrong. Don't know why Schwab's on here twice. Again, it's aftermarket. Data is a little weird. But the point here is it's going to give you everything you need. The trend of the stock, which is based on the 67-day EMA, the risk level compared to other stocks on the watch list, expected value, how much cash you need, how much premium you're collecting, your ROI on the week, your max loss. Are they reporting earnings soon or did they recently? Expiration date of the contract. All right. So this would be for next Friday, technically, is what it's looking at right now. And your strikes. Okay. What your sold put would be, sold call, etc. All right. Now, you have the ability to sort this however you'd like. If you want to see what's paying the highest premium or the lowest premium, we can do that. Often you're going to see all of these highlighted in red are actually reporting earnings soon. All right. So we're not telling you not to trade it. We're just telling you to watch out. All right. We couldn't tell you either way. We're not financial advisors. It's not financial advice. Had to get it out there. Okay. Anyway, collect yourself, Dillon. We're at the end. We're nearing the end here. I need some water. So anyway, all of the data is available here for you. All right. If you wanted to run a wheel on Pfizer this week, because it's trading at 25.34 and you want to collect $10 in premium, risking 90 on the $1 spread because you think it's going to stay above 24.50 because you got about $1 of breathing room, then take that trade. All right. That's not, obviously, I don't think that's the most ideal one on here. The most ideal one on here is going to be SPY if you have the cash for it. And if you don't have the cash for SPY, I love me a good Walmart. Again, not financial advice, but I wheeled Walmart for 2 years. If we look at the chart, very fun. Some drawdowns, but ultimately the rent I'm collecting, call it 0.5%, 0.25%, 0.5% a week. That adds up at the end of the year. All right. I was just wheeling Uber. I was wheeling Walmart. Don't do what I do though. I have on the wheel. I tend to curse stocks. I would wheel Bank of America because it's real cheap and it's paying a decent premium. So anyway, you come in here and you make that decision. All right. And if you wanted to do that, then you come on in here, you click add the wheel. Let's say you want to add Walmart. Okay. I love Walmart. I don't care if I get assigned 100 shares. I'm just going to keep collecting my premium and 30, $50 every week. Let's do it. Here's your budget. That's what your sold put's going to be estimated to be and how much cash you would need in order to buy those shares. All right. And that stock is now going to be added into your automated portfolio. Here's the wheel. It's ready to rock and roll. Okay. So I am going to leave it there from a bot standpoint. Okay. You have the ability to come in here and pause, play, remove, or even unhedge your position at any time. All right. There's a ton of free options education available to you on our website, peakbot.com. Okay. Just hit learn and go to options 101. We also provide a master class. Okay. That's one-on-one coaching with myself and my co-founder, and a ton more. Okay. As for the pricing, this is what we're working with here. We have PeakBot Pro. It's $99 a month. If you go annual, you're getting 2 months free already. Okay, so we're talking $990 for the year. Tonight, I'm actually going to provide a 10% discount, a promo code, which I'll put in the chat here. And I know maybe David will as well. It's all caps, Pro 10. Okay, so if you go ahead and hit subscribe here, this is for annual only. All right, you can come on in here. Don't mind my cookies grabbing another code. And we're going to type in Pro 10. Okay, that'll knock $10 off. All right, 99 bucks off of your annual subscription. So you can get access to all 6, soon to be 7 PeakBot strategies for the entire year for $891 by using code PRO10 at checkout here. Again, you can do monthly as well, $99 a month. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee regardless, whether it's annual or monthly. If you're not happy in 30 days, you can get your subscription fee back, okay? We're not covering losses, but you can get your subscription fee back. And when you sign up, you get an onboarding call. You get access to all of our tools, our vault, okay, videos, one-on-one training, making sure everything's good. All right, so that is what you'd want to check out. Of course, we have some other things available here. If you didn't want anything to do with managing your account, you wanted a professional to do it, we work with a registered investment advisor who will manage your PeakBot portfolio for you, of course, with a management fee, but a very reasonable one. All right. And again, Charles Schwab, Tasty Trade, Tradier. Tradier is truthfully our preferred broker just because they have the cleanest API. And yeah, it's fantastic. One thing I think I should note is if you are going to automate with PeakBot and you're going to do it with Schwab, you want to make sure that you're not off of the grid for more than 7 days at a time. This sounds silly, but from a security standpoint, Schwab requires their users, anybody connected to the API, to refresh their access token every 7 days. What does that mean for you? Well, it takes 18 seconds, but sometime after Friday at 4 when the market closes and Monday when the market opens, you want to go into your PeakBot account, disconnect and reconnect your broker. Again, takes 30 seconds, but if you don't do it, the bot's not going to watch your trades or make trades for you the next week because your access token is invalid. Yes, it's annoying, but it's Schwab only. Go on over to Tradier and check it out. So I rest my case. I don't want to go a minute long. But again, Dillon Del Rosso, co-founder of PeakBot, very grateful to be here tonight. Thank you to Todd for the intro. To David. David, thank you so much for hosting this. And to everybody listening, we're straight shooters. Message us. We'll tell you what's hot, what's not, and if it's for you or if it's not. Okay. But again, thank you so much for the time.